This skill is to solve number sentences with multiplication and division. This can be found in the patterns in algebra skill in the number and algebra strand on essential assessment. The learning goal is to be able to solve number sentences with multiplication and division skills. And the success criteria is to continue and create sequences involving whole numbers, fractions, and decimals, and to be able to describe the rule used to create the sequence. I've gone ahead and grabbed a few examples from the essential assessment skill, and this is the first one we're going to be looking at. The question says here, which is the missing number in the number sentence? So we have 7 times a certain number is equal to 42. Now, logically speaking, we can do what's called brute force. And brute force just means try different numbers into here to make this equation fit. So we can try 7 times 1, that's not going to work. 7 times 2, that's not going to work. And while this might be successful for smaller numbers, when it gets to greater numbers, this skill is a bit tiresome and not the most efficient. So we know 7 times a certain number is going to equal 42. What we can do is find the opposite. Okay, and what I mean by opposite is look at this times here. The opposite of times or multiplication is division. So if 7 times a certain number is going to equal 42, let's work out 42 divided by that certain number. So let's get 42 and split it into 7 sections, and what you should get is 6, meaning 7 times 6 has to equal 42. 7 times 6 is 42. Now you can use your calculator for this. All you would do is just 42 divided by what number that's here. In this case, it is 7. The next one, we're looking at a missing number from this number sentence. 8 times 5 is equal to some number times 10. Now in order to work this out, we can see this left hand side is saying 8 times 5. So let's work this out first, figure this out, and then try to figure out what this question mark is. Let's time 10 afterwards. So 8 times 5, when you use your calculator, you can use your calculator, but hopefully by now you should be confident with your times table. 8 times 5, in this case, is 40. I was about to write 45. 8 times 5 is 40. So now we know 10 times a certain number, or a certain number times 10, it works both ways for multiplication, is equal to 40. So what we can do is, remember that opposite rule that we use, the opposite of division is, multiplication is division. Let's get this 40 and divide it by 10, which gives us 4. Meaning that 10 times 4 has to give me 40. So our correct answer in this case is 4. Now we get into a situation where we, instead of seeing multiplication, we see a division sign. And there's also a division sign on the other side as well. So we have to break this down into 2 different bits. The first bit is we know that we can work out what 28 divided by 7 is. Yeah? And in this case, this is 4. So 28 divided by 7 is 4. Now we have to work out 12 divided by a certain number must give me 4. 12 divided by a certain number must give me 4. Well, how about we work out what 12 divided by 4 is? Well, 12 divided by 4, this gives me 3, yeah? 4 and 12. Meaning 12 divided by 3 has to give me 4. Okay, so see how division is this, what is this magic rule that whatever you're dividing a number by, whatever answer you get is also the same as dividing that same number to get the answer here. So whenever you're in the situation where you have to find 12 divided by, or some number divided by what we're trying to figure out, and we know what this is, grab this number, in this case 4, and do 12 divided by that number, and that will give you 3. So our answer in this case is 3. Now we're looking at number sentences where we want to establish a numerical sentence to a number sentence here. Okay, this is really simple. This is saying 2 times, now I'm going to stop here, times just meaning multiplication. 2 times a certain number minus 11 is equal to 20. Is equal to 20. So all of a sudden, I'm looking for something that is equal to 20. Well, the only one that has it equals to 20 is this one here. And just to double check, let's just see the first part. 2 times a number, so 2 times a number, and remember we don't know what this number is, minus 11, yep, there's a minus 11, is equal to 20. Hey, this must be the answer. 2 more examples here. What is the missing number? Now, here we have a fraction times a certain number is equal to 10. And this can get a bit tricky because multiplication of fractions can be quite daunting and quite confusing. But I will give you a little tip. Whenever you see a fraction times, think of the word of, and this will make complete sense. Half of a certain number is equal to 10. Half of a certain number is equal to 10. Well, that only number that can work for it is 20, isn't it? Half of 20 is equal to 10. Now, if you were to put half times 20 into your calculator, you should get the answer of 10. So I always think of times as the word of, and this will make sense. Now, this also works with different types of fractions where 1 is the number on top. But where it gets a little bit different is when we instead use a division. Okay, we have 8 divided by half is equal to a certain number. Now again, you can just put this into your calculator and get your answer. But what this is saying is, say for instance, I have 8 of some sort of, 8 is a quantity of some sort of, let's go chocolates. I like to do chocolates. Okay, so we have 8 chocolates, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now the way division works is we want to split this up into a certain amount. And what we're used to are whole numbers here. But instead, we're going to split this into halves. And then we're going to see how many halves there are. Okay, so let's get this one of the 8s, split it in half, split it in half, and we'll keep splitting these in half. Then we just count out how many halves there are. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So our answer in this case is 16. Now, a quick secret in order to be able to work out divisions of fractions is this rule called keep, change, flip. We're going to keep the first number, we're going to change this division to a times, and we're going to flip this half to 2 over 1. And 2 over 1 is just 2. 8 times 2 is 16. This is what we got in the first place from here. So this keep, change, flip is a cool rule only if you have a division and then a fraction afterwards. Okay, you always keep the first one, you always change the second one to a times, and then when you change it to a times, you have to flip this around. And that concludes the tutorial. Go ahead and complete the skill, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.